The Geek Girl Riot. Geek Girl Riot.
It's Geek Girl Riot time. I'm Sherin, and that is
Julian.
And we're back. As you know, tonight we're doing an episode called Crime and Wickedness, The Penguin, and Agatha All Along. But there will be some other stuff in there. For example, we're going to talk a little bit about the new stuff on RIOTUS. We're going to get into some One Piece live action casting, maybe some Avatar The Last Airbender live action casting, and some anime recs in the first segment before we get into The Penguin, which we loved, and Agatha All Along, which we are... uncertain on. Uncertain, I say, because there's two of us. So let's get into it, Julian. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so first up, the newness on RIOTUS. You've got some stuff that went up this week, don't you?
This week, I don't remember. I'm not going to lie. In the past few weeks, I've had The Front Room, History Daughters, The Penguin, Transformers 1, and then I lose track of my.
Yeah, you had a lot of good stuff.
The fight night, the $1 Million Heist, The Killer. Yeah, and I'm still.
Oh, you're going way back. You're going back about 4 weeks now. So
Killer ain't that far back. It's only the second week.
No.
But The Killer, everybody knows about The Killer. So, hey, gotta
yeah, everybody knows about The Killer. But okay, so also some of the new stuff that we have up on the site. We've got what Star Wars could learn from the Rings of Power or the Lord of the Rings. So y'all could go and get mad about that. And then we've got a lot of the Rings of Power coverage from our episode appetizers to our Riot the Rings, which are the kind of postmortems on the episodes. All of that is there. We've also got last week's episode where I said predecessors when I meant descendants, but charge it to COVID. COVID brain is serious, y'all. Today we had Omni-Loop go up. The Substance went up today. Zack Snyder's Twilight of the Gods went up. A great movie documentary, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Amazing. We talk about Agatha All Along, but that's already ready for this show. So there's so much good stuff. Oh, and the new George Clooney, Brad Pitt movie, Wolves, which is based on the wolf from Pulp Fiction. That's there. It's just a lot. So that's all there. That's the newness. Let's get into this One Piece live action casting. What you think?
Yeah, well, you showed me that they gave us Crocodile. It's top
they
tier.
Did.
Top tier. And Miss All Sunday, who also goes by another name. It's very important. It's just
very important.
Grand Fleet. Miss All Sunday has been cast.
Yes, and I confirmed it with IGN because it was floating around everywhere, but I confirmed it with IGN, so that's a reliable source, that Joe Manganiello is going to be Mr. Zero, otherwise known as Crocodile. And that is big casting, and he's perfect for the role. So we'll see how that works out.
He's huge. He's huge.
He is a large, very delightful man, visually appealing. Also has a black grandfather, so that makes us happy. And we also have Lera Abova. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but she is Serbian, which makes her Slavic, which means she's great to play Miss All Sunday, otherwise known as Robin.
Nico Robin,
indeed. So that's big news for One Piece fans. It's big whether you're a fan of the live action on Netflix or of the manga or of the anime. You could get it any way you want it. That's big news. What else we got, Julian? We have more anime recs, but we should talk about the one that you sent me, which was from One Piece, that casting.
Oh, no, it was The Last Airbender.
I said One Piece again. Yes. I meant to say The Last Airbender.
They cast everybody's favorite Earthbender, Toph.
Yeah.
They cast Miya Cechas as Toph. I don't think I spelled that name right at all because I have no pronunciation key.
But we'll post it so you guys will know. Yeah, that's a good. And they gave us a little teaser, which looks amazing.
Hey, yeah, I stopped checking out once. I just need the little picture and the name. I was like, I don't want to see no more. You know, she got the
Well, they didn't show you much. They just showed you her feet and they showed you the earth trembling. And that was enough. They did that at Geeked Week, which is Netflix's big geeky show. Excuse me. That's because I've been drinking too much soda. But yeah, on Netflix Geek Week, they did that. So up next, Anime Rex. And one big one that we have is something you've been telling me to read for years is coming up soon. What is it?
So yeah, recently in theaters, G Kids released the first 3 episodes of the anime adaptation of the Shonen Jump Plus series Dan to Dan. It is they should a cinematic version of basically 3 episodes put together. It soon will be out on this fall on Crunchyroll. It is the story. It is a high school romance mixed with X-Files. So we have a teenage girl whose grandmother is a spirit medium, so she believes in ghosts. She has the habit of dating bad boys. And she ends up befriending a young, introverted, bully kid who she calls Okarun.
For very hilarious reasons.
Yes, and he believes in UFOs and cryptids. And they do not believe in each other's thing, so they essentially have a bet. And they go to these places that are known for the opposite thing that the person's into. And guess what? Both things happen. Momo, which is the girl, gets abducted by aliens. And Okarun ends up dealing with a spirit. And things go chaotic from there. It is one of the best drawn shonen mangas of the last couple of years. It'll probably move up the rankings as My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen both end very well. My Hero's already ended, and JJK will be ending within weeks. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's Dan to Dance time. It is excellent. It has comedy. It has good drawings. It has action. It has fighting. It has spirits. It has aliens. It has Loch Ness monsters and all types of stuff. It's high school hijinks. It's everything you want. This is going to be top tier. It's the new. I'm telling you, it's the new thing. It's on. If you read the manga, it's like on chapter like 160 something. But anime just starting right now, so get in now because it's going to blow up.
Yeah, and it is profane also, which I think.
Yeah, it's a little cheeky. It's a little cheeky. Yeah. It's not for little kids.
No, it's got a little spice to it. When I was watching it, what I thought of it was it's got a little bit of FLCL as far as the visual vibe of it. And I felt like it was like Fully Cooley mixed with Parasite, but with Inuyasha style relationships. But I really do think that the X-Files is a great description, but that was what I got for it. And that's what really hooked me in, is that kind of combination of these styles in a way that you don't expect to go together, but they mix so well in Dan to Dan. It's wild, it's hilarious, it's shocking, it's a little bit filthy, and the characters are just amazing. So I will co-sign you, follow up on you, and say that you've been telling me to read this, as I mentioned before, and you were right. And we're loving it. So for me, I have 2 that I've been enjoying a bunch. One of them is for you fans of Delicious in Dungeon, and that is a series called Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill. And it is truly absurd. It's sitting on a 4.9 rating with 71.1 thousand ratings. So that tells you how good it is. And while Delicious in Dungeon, I think, has a better story and is a bit more immersive, Campfire Cooking is so much more fun. I just had I enjoyed myself. I giggled a lot. And that is echoed in Riotus Alex and Riotus Philip, who Alex got us all hooked on it. And I can't stop watching. So I'm mad because there are only 12 episodes so far on Crunchyroll. You want it. Go get it. This guy's cooking up hilarious stuff. It's a portal fantasy. It has all of the classic creatures from epic fantasy and some of the games you love. There's slimes, there's dire wolves type things, there's spirits, there's orcs, and dragons, and nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, is immune from going into the frying pan. So let him cook. Next up is the Elusive Samurai, which Julian knows I've really been loving, and of course is already popular. I wrote a piece on the Elusive Samurai. That's another thing that you can go and get on RIOTUS.com. That is RIO-US.com. That's where we riot. That's where we give you more content than you get on the show, because the show is too short for us to do everything we want to do with it. But my Elusive Samurai piece is there. That is another show that I'm loving. It is about it's also it feels like a portal fantasy, but it's not. It has a character who is a monk and a leader of a clan who can see all the way into the future, into our time. So he's often making jokes that we understand that the people in this era do not understand. It's about a shogunate that gets taken over, and the only survivor is a little boy. I think his name is Tokiyuki. He survives in this world where a lot of the adults seem to have demons hidden inside them, and they behave in really evil ways. And some of them have like super powered body parts, like somebody's ears are really special, somebody's eyes. And it's just kind of creepy. It's super bloody. Heads definitely roll. I mean, oh, yeah, heads. Oh, Julian, is so damn bloody. It reminds me of the geysers of blood of my childhood. But it is also really funny. And of course, to take back his legacy, he must put together a group of misfits to go and get it done. And they have all the classic anime tropes with each one of these characters. There's even a character that makes you feel like she is like the child of Inuyasha and Kagome, because she looks like it, she acts like it. But really another great one from me. That's another one of my favorites. Any more from you?
While we were talking, during the Geeked event, Netflix just showed their first preview of the anime adaptation of the video game series Devil May Cry by the people who created the Castlevania anime. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the Castlevania anime. I'm a weirdo.
No, you're not. A lot of people don't like it.
But, Devil May Cry, for those who like that game series, I'm one of them. It's been around. I think next year will be close to the 25th anniversary, or at least 24 and a half years. It's about a half demon named Dante, and he hunts demons, and he does it in a very, very showy, flashy way. It's basically, if you take a Vampire Hunter D, add some rock and roll music and Chow Yun Fast, the killer, and everything else into it, and that's what the game was. And so the anime looks to be just like that. It's supposed to premiere in April of 2025. So big anime year coming up.
Yeah, big. And happily for us, that's good news for us. Anything else from you?
I'm really interested in the Ranma One Half.
Oh, yes.
That's on Netflix.
Okay, get into the history of that. We have about 4 minutes, and I think they want to know.
Ranma One Half was actually probably one of the biggest anime franchises that I was able to travel over to the West in the 90s, and probably for what the young people might see as a dark period, because it was actually very hard to get anime back then. But this was promoted everywhere. It's been a long time since I've seen this, but it's about a young man. He gets a curse every time he splashes water. He turns into a woman, and then it gets into romantic hijinks. Also, as well, Ranma in either gender is a really skilled martial artist. So there's fisticuffs, people turning into animals, goofy fathers, pandas. Ranma One Half was huge. They had a Super Nintendo game in the States, and then you couldn't even watch the anime. Like, it was, that's how people was like, yo, Ranma Half. It was a jump off. That's like old school peak anime right there. Like it popped off over here before Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball. That's how big, just through videotapes. blockbuster days. But yeah, there's a remake because young people don't watch the old anime, so they say let's remake the whole thing so the young people couldn't know about Ranma. And I'm like, yeah, let's get it bracking. I'm gonna watch it.
And so, how would they be familiar with this mangaka?
Oh, she created the person you name dropped earlier.
Inuyasha.
Inuyasha is like one of the hits on hits on hits.
Yeah, she's big.
Hits on hits on hits.
What's her name? I can't. Names are beyond me for the last few weeks. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm bad at that because again, I haven't actively saw out Ranma in many a decade actually.
Yeah, Rumiko Takahashi. So, good stuff. We've got a little bit more time. Is there anything else? I'm trying to think of what else I've been I have been watching Delico's Nursery, which I'm really not sure about yet. I'm gonna have to take some time to find my way through that. But I do like the premise of this kind of vampire society. And there is the central vampire that kind of feeds them all, very similar to Anne Rice's vampires, where the Queen Akasha had the whole spirit of vampires contained in her body. If she died, then they all die. In this series, which was called Trump in Japan, which we can see why they changed the name to Delico's Nursery in the US because, but the Trump in that series is the true of vamp. I guess they didn't want to call him Tramp because, that's bad. But it's the true of vamp, which is the central bastion of that. Somebody is looking to find the true of vamp to slay that being so that I guess they can kill all the vampires. And the guys who are in charge of this are from the aristocracy. They're really beautiful. They got the long flowing hair there and they all have kids. And so the lead vampire on the investigation says that he will not pursue it unless all of the other guys in his squad start a nursery where they all take care of their kids so they can be better fathers because his wife was killed and he made a promise to raise his kids. So that's how that gets started. I'm watching it. I'm not a fan of the backgrounds because they use those kind of Photoshop, like real photos that have been photoshopped with to look more like they've been drawn. I don't like that, but I do like the premise and I do like the characters very much. So those are some anime that we can talk to you about. I know I'm missing something. It will come to me when I am off the air, and for that, I apologize. But this is Sherin and
Julian
on Geek Girl Riot talking about The Penguin and Agatha all along up next. So stay with us and it's going to be fun. This is Geek Girl Riot and I am Sherin and that is
Julian.
I like to call us your dynamic duo, but you can call us whatever you like as long as it's good. So right now we're going to get into The Penguin, which is the new spinoff series of the Batman made by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson. Now this new series is on Max. It's a streaming series that stars
HBO and Max.
HBO and Max. Forgive me. So on HBO and Max, it stars Colin Farrell as the Penguin. And we've been enjoying it. I'm just going to start off with that. But what I wanted to say before I say that is that the showrunner is a woman by the name of Lauren LaFranc. And Lauren, can I just say thank you? Because the way that you surprised me with the depth and the deliciousness of this series, well done. So Julian, give us a little setup.
Okay. I don't hate doing it this time. Set a week after the events of the end of the Batman. Gotham City is still reeling from the essentially water wall, river wall, whatever, explosion, flooding most of Gotham City. FEMA's there. Spoiler for the Batman, Carmine Falcone, the big gangster of the city, is dead, and there's a power vacuum, and our protagonist, Oz Cobb, who is called the Penguin pejoratively by the rest of the crime. Yeah, by the other people in the criminal underworld, especially the Italian mobsters, is going to take this time to use everything he knows to take over the drug trade and take that through the drug trade, take over the city. He feels it's his time. After interesting interaction with someone, a bunch of kids try to steal his purple Maserati. And
with the gold kit on it.
And one of the kids, he decides to not kill and take under his wing and teach him the game.
And that is Victor Aguilera.
Yeah, and that is the setup for the crime drama that is The Penguin.
Yeah, it's important to note that Victor, I'm sorry, not Aguilera, Aguilar, is played by Renzi Felix, who also played Alex in The Runaways. So that's a nice, interesting little tie-in there to his comic background. But what is most interesting to note, I think, about the reason why Oz does not kill Vic is because when he puts a gun in his face, Victor starts to stutter. And there is something about this kid that connects with him because, you know, he has he has a foot that is he has a difference in his body structure and it makes him waddle. And so they call him the Penguin, you know, and it has a lot of pain for him. And I think he connected to Vic in that way. He's like, this kid is coming up like me. It made him feel like he had almost a surrogate in amongst the Ute. And so I think that that's why he doesn't go ahead and shoot Vic. And then he keeps finding other reasons. I'll say that because you guys have seen Victor in a couple of the trailers, but he keeps finding other reasons. Now, I can't tell you how long he finds reasons, but he does. And another amazing scene for me before we really dive into it, because I don't want to forget to say this, is when they're riding the subway and there are some disabled accessibility seats available. And they're the only seats available on the train. And Oswald Cobb refuses to sit there. And what I find interesting about that is we don't know why. Is it because he has a code of honor? As you know, we know that criminals have some weird codes. He may have that. Or is it that he doesn't want the world to see him as disabled? All of those, or it could be a combination of both. All of those things play out. And that proves why Lauren LaFranc, let me slow down, has created such an amazing series. In episode 1, in the first 30 minutes, you're getting all of those layers of storytelling, all of that character development so quickly that you know that the rest of this series is going to be great. And I can say right now, it does not disappoint, y'all. You will not be disappointed. Most of you guys are watching it right now because the first episode after ours is premiering. And we're doing this recording on a Thursday night, September 19th. So now you know that we are into it, but we've seen the whole thing. So we can tell you that this series is not going to disappoint you. It is crimey-wimey in the best ways. So Julian, what were some of your first takes on this series?
Some of my first takes is, I would say this might be one of the best overall depictions of Gotham City that I've seen outside of the actual comic books. And that might be sacrilege for some, but when you consider most of the other shows is about Batman. So everything focuses around Batman. So you might get a side thing through probably another good police officer or one of his many proteges, but very rarely do you see it from literal people on the street and the interactions and the culture and the dynamics of the city. Now, this version of Gotham is very much influenced by New York City and the boroughs of New York City. It's not just Manhattan. There's real things parallels to parts of Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, Staten Island, even I would say Jersey, that very rarely is talked about. It was very well thought out and extrapolating from the events of what happened in the movie. And also those events have clear repercussions on everything in the way all the characters act. As a Batman fan, that was kind of shocking because it's almost like you feel like you've seen it all if you read enough comics, watched enough of the shows. And I was like, I ain't never seen nothing like this. Also, the care of which they so I think some fans are going to talk about it as too much of a crime show. Nah, this is a crime show.
It's Gotham.
But yeah, but they don't like crime shows. This is a crime show I am for people who do like The Sopranos, who do like Breaking Bad, who do like even I would say Power and those shows. In terms of the way it talks about the drug game, I was literally taken aback. I was like, oh, this is that real right here. Like rappers might be sampling some of these lines on here, put it on a mixtape in the next year. Like Penguin about that action. He about to take over the block. And I was like, this is what I need. And also Colin Farrell is still amazing playing this character that you only know it's him sometimes when you look at his eyes and be like, oh yeah, that is Colin Farrell. Other than that, you're like, oh, who is this person?
This is a dude. He disappears into this makeup. And I want to say that the makeup department deserves Emmys. Just give them the Emmys. I always like to say, back the Emmy truck up and unload, because there's a scene where the Penguin gets stripped and you see his body and it just looks like a real person. It does not look like makeup. The hair, the meticulous placement of all the hairs on his chest and shoulders, the fleshiness of the body to match the face. This is a different prosthetic designer, I think, from the film. And you can tell that Penguin moved from like B villain to number one on the call list, because they just create this entire new human being. You know, I just got to give them credit. And I want to say that the language is also great, because you and I talked about the fact that sometimes when different characters answer the phone, they say, what's good? I'm like, what's good? Who wrote this? Like, it's just all of those little moments that add this sweetness and this texture to it. The detail, the way that when you watch Oz, because that's what they call him, and call the Penguin Oz. And he's a street guy. He's not the old school, like, upper crust guy that he used to be. And when you watch him react to things, it's like you're watching him have realizations about how he can flip a situation, because he's an ultimate strategist. And every little emotion playing on his face, you watch him figure out how he can flip everything to his benefit. He's a fast thinker. He's a fast talker. And it makes this series sing. I did not expect this. And to your point, I am not a crime drama person. You know this. I don't enjoy it. This I enjoyed. This I just immersed myself in it. And I think that credit goes to this creative team. Also, we get some of the gangsters that we adore from Batman, but there's a lot we can see that Matt Reeves is very much into, you know, Court of Owls, the Long Halloween. You see that playing out in the Batman, and you see allusions to that in this Penguin series. We get what's her name? My girl Sophia. What's Sophia's last name? Because they changed it. It used to be
no, it's still Sophia Falcone.
Falcone.
They do pull in Falcone. They do bring that in. But you know, for people who think if you think you just because you read Long Halloween, and Dark Victory in year one, you know what's going on. You know nothing.
No, they're gonna flip. Nothing. You will find things familiar, and then they will flip it completely to something different. And I think so successfully. We've got Sophia Falcone. You and I both said that we miss her being huge. You know, the huge woman aspect of it. You know, she had that big barter size on her.
Yeah,
but this is a much smaller woman, someone you might have expected to play like Death on another series, or someone that you could see easily being like a Winona Ryder type. But I wanted to say the other girl from New Girls, but I couldn't think of her name, so I couldn't do it. But what they do with Sophia Falcone, what they do with the way that women are treated in this world and how women are then kind of doing the same thing. There's this very cool, again, parallel between Oz and Sophia and what they're overcoming to stay afloat in this crime game. Just good stuff.
The show deals with class, race subtly, class within the crime world at that. And yeah, patriarchy a lot. It's very interesting how it juggles many different things. Again, in a crime show, but it's still a crime show that is familiar enough to Batman stuff because there is Batman stuff in it, and it leaves you waiting because it's like, oh man, it's setting up that next movie just right. And
it is.
It's like this ain't a spoiler. Don't expect to see Batman in this. No Batman. Don't go in this.
Told you.
Feeling like you got teased or tricked. Ain't no Batman. This is the Penguin. This is about the Penguin. Whole show about the Penguin.
Lauren LaFranc told you already. It's not happening. But what I loved here is that there's a history of women inconvenient women being sent off to asylums and being locked up for good, whether it was to get their money, whether it was to get their silence, whether it was to punish them. And they use that history that is very tangible to give Sophia Falcone a backstory here. And I just get, it's one of those shows you lean into because you're trying to get inside it. It's not a world you want to live in, but you're trying to get inside it because there's so much going on. You want to see everything. You want to watch each character. You don't want anybody in this show to get the jump on you because it feels that real and that well rendered. You agree?
Yeah, it had me standing up watching. Gangster.
One of the characters you loved is Oswald's mother.
Oh, Laura Cobb. She was great.
She's great.
Oh man, that gangster Italian American mom who's with it from the streets.
She's a mom. She's an old school mom.
And she going through some stuff because you know what I'm saying, she's older, and you got to check on her, and man, he keep her far away from the streets so the people can't get to.
Yeah.
And Carmen Ejogo, am I saying that right?
I think it's Ejogo, yeah.
Playing Eve, the madam.
What?
And she has a very, very Batman last name that people pay attention, and they really pay attention.
I'm gonna just tell you, it's Carlo. So with a K, Karlo, and if you know, then you know.
Okay, but yeah, she killed it as like essentially Oz love interest, romantic partner.
Business partner.
And then but it also kind of reminds you, connects you to stuff that was happening with Catwoman in the Batman. Because they deal with the sex worker thing in it. And also, you gotta say, Oz Cobb is a real one because he actually this was subtle, but the way he treats all the women, trans women and women in sex work, he called them, like he just treats them the same.
Yeah.
It's a subtle thing. It's like, oh, that shouldn't matter, but it does matter. Like it says something about his character, it says something about the show, but also says something about his character, like, yo, we all in this together on the streets, like everybody human here. That's the thing. The Penguin's like, he treats everybody as a human being, but here's the thing. We talking like he's empathetic. He is still the Penguin. He is still a bad guy. In the end, Batman's supposed to punch him in the face.
Yes, indeed. Because he recognizes your humanity. He just doesn't recognize your right to live. You are a pawn on that board that he is playing. He's pushing everything in a direction he needs it to go in. And that's why I said he's an ultimate strategist, the way they paint this Penguin. It's just, like I said before, really well rendered. And fans of, just everything genre, but also fans of DC will recognize that we get another one of the big gangsters, which is Salvatore Maroni. But playing Salvatore Maroni is Lex Luthor, aka Clancy Brown,
Yes.
and it's great.
He also voiced Mr. Freeze in the Batman the cartoon from 2004 to 2008. But,
Yes, and
yeah, Clancy Brown's huge self as Salvatore Maroni was a surprise.
yes, and as his wife Nadia Moroni, we've got the great Shara Agdashlu. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I think it's Agdashlu, who, oh, she's a favorite. If you love The Expanse, you know what it is. The two of them together and then bringing in the kind of Persian Iranian aspect to the Moronis, where you're like, wait a minute, the Moronis are all Persian? Oh,
They got some brown people in the streets. Again, it's the streets.
they really found a way to make it as multicultural as Gotham/New York would be. Like, and it's seamless and it's gorgeous. And we're running out of time talking about Penguin, but we may spin it to this next episode, or this next segment. But up next is the Inside Man episode on September 29th, because it's moving to Saturdays. Watch it.
It should be Sundays, right? It's Sundays.
I thought it was Saturdays. Well, it might be Sundays. Yeah.
It's going to the HBO, the big HBO Sunday
slot.
Like,
where it will play out for the rest until November. This is Sherin and
Julian.
This is Geek Girl Riot. I am Sherin, and that is
Julian.
You are on an episode called Crime and Wickedness, The Penguin and Agatha All Along. And it is Agatha's turn, both on this show and on Disney Plus, because her spinoff series has launched last night, actually. And everybody got 2 episodes. We've seen 4 episodes. We're not going to spoil anything, but we are going to kind of get you prepared and talk about some things you should have already seen by the time this episode airs. So Agatha All Along is coming out of WandaVision. One of the biggest surprises was the fact that Agatha was the villain. She got a song. It was great. People love Catherine Hahn. And it just proves how a really good character and a great performer can put it all together and make something that captures people. People have been waiting for this. It's gone through a lot of names. I mean, it was like something of madness. It was chaos, Coven of Chaos, but they finally settled on Agatha All Along. That was a good idea. So what we have here is a mashup of, for me, The Witches of Eastwick mashed up with The Wizard of Oz with a sprinkling of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This show speaks to the nostalgia of a lot of different iconic witchy things, but those are the ones that spoke most to me. And it is about Agatha kind of coming out of the dark of Wanda's effect on her, losing the Darkhold and losing her magic. And now she has to regain her identity, get her magic back by doing dirt, because that's what she really likes to do. And there is also the idea that there may be some redemption. This is a very queer-laced show because we've got some sparks flying between Agatha's and between the character played by Aubrey Plaza, who in the first episode is known as Agent Vidal, but you already know that it's somebody else. And that character's name is Rio. We've also got our boy Joe Locke from Heartstopper, who gets to come here as a character that some suspect might be Wiccan, Wanda's son, but that also may be us getting Ralph Bonered all over again. So, you can't really believe any other little costume winks that they give you, but this character may also be connected to Agatha in some way. What we do know is he has a sigil on him. So every time he tries to tell you who he is and what his backstory is, this little scripty, like M scripts across his face. That's what it looks like. It looks like an old school scripty M. It goes across his mouth and you cannot hear what the backstory is. So something is hidden. That's great. So they are going to walk the Witch's Road, which is a mythic pathway to power in this world. And it is also in the comic books. You'll learn about that there too. We have a review up. You can see that on RIOTUS, RIOT-US.com. But that's where we're going to start. Julian, did I do all right?
You did fine.
Okay, cool. So we got to see the first 4 episodes. Tell me your first impressions.
Well, I don't know if this is much of a spoiler, but the first episode kind of tries to continue the format from WandaVision, where it feels like a television show,
Yes.
like another television show. I think it's the Mayor of East or whatever that show with that was on HBO a couple of years with the lady cop who was unlikable.
Yeah, it's like a Danish kind of murder procedural series. You know, very much in the European tradition, very dark, gloomy town, and there's a woman.
Yeah, the Mayor of East town. It felt like they were riffing on that specific show.
Well, I don't know, because I mean, they said it's a Danish show, and I very much saw that kind of Scandinavian murder mystery thing. But maybe so. Maybe it is the Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah, it's just so like it. Yeah, so I was like, okay, that's cool, and then it does like the big switch and reveal. What's hard for me is that I never really cared for them turning Agatha into like a bad guy
In the first place.
I never really cared for her. Like, you know, hey, I'm a traditionalist. She's the cool. She's not the cool. She's the old lady witch that babysits for the Fantastic Four. Like,
she's the great auntie. She's
you know
the
what I'm saying?
great
Like,
auntie. Yeah.
She just happens to also mentor Scarlet Witch when she be having her many issues, but
her psychotic breaks.
All the stuff. But you know, we got her bad now, and she's like utterly terrible. And I do think she to me, it feels that she's on a road to redemption.
I think that's the metaphor with the Witch's Road as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because they kind of use it that way in the comics when they brought it up, especially in the more modern thing.
Yeah.
I really liked Sashir Zamata as Jennifer Kale.
She was great. Our potion beauty witch.
Yeah, our potion witch, and Paya Lapone as Lilia Koldru.
The great.
The
Divination.
Divination witch.
Yeah.
Yo, she's killing all the jokes. Top tier.
One of the greatest of all time. Yeah. And it's nice to see because they do each correspond with a member of the party in The Wizard of Oz. But go ahead.
But yeah, this is very much honestly, I don't know why this is a Disney Plus show, and I don't mean that in a negative way. This is 41 minute long episodes. This could just be on ABC. There's nothing crazy in it that means it can be on television and then also be on Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. It's formatted like a regular television show.
It is.
Like, oh, this episode is about Agatha. This episode is about Jennifer. This episode is about Alice. This episode is going to be about, like, I was like, well, okay, like, all right.
Each have their own trials to face, which is also very much like epic fantasy. We didn't tell them about Alice. Tell them about Alice.
Oh yeah, Alice Wu Gulliver. She's a lady, essentially. She's played by Ali An, and she's basically a lady with bad luck, a curse of sorts.
Yeah, she's our rebel rock star girl.
Yeah, who has bad luck.
Real bad luck. Well, I mean, yeah, it's it's more than bad luck, y'all.
I don't want to go too crazy with. Yeah, but it's overall, it's an okay show for me.
For you,
after watching The Penguin, this ain't it.
I mean, okay, I won't say that because I don't think there's a comparison. This is family, but older. Like you want your kind of older kids, like middle school and up, if you're going to watch this. But it is more of a family show. The Penguin is not. It is a hard body crime drama.
HBO Sunday night classic.
Yeah, and so I do feel like they're very different. This is a lot more jokey, in some ways lighthearted. They're just doing different things. So I don't want to compare them that way. But I will say, yeah.
No, I'm just I'm not trying to, but also in terms of my like interest level of like, not looking at my phone while I'm watching.
Right.
It's like the performances are good though. Like the jokes are solid. I really don't need a bunch of songs.
I don't mind. I love a musical. Give me the songs.
I like musicals too, but I'm not connecting the right way. It's just, and I try to give Marvel stuff the benefit of the doubt because I know they're not making stuff for me and what I kind of want from Marvel stuff, which is more connected to the actual comic books than what the MCU has evolved into. But this one really isn't for me.
Yeah, you said that. Well, you guys probably already know this if you've been a listener for a while, but Julian and I, if we're not together when we go to screenings, we text each other about whatever we're watching or something that we watch because it helps with the show. It helps us build content, but also because we truly are fans of genre. And so we were texting back and forth, be like, yo, this is not for me. And I was like, I was behind you. And so I was like, I'm still trying to get a finger on it. But for me, I'm not sure whether or not I like it yet. I understand what it's doing. I appreciate what it's doing, but I also think something is missing. And a part of that may be that the show feels like it's trying too hard to outdo its predecessor. I said predecessor the right way that time, y'all. And I think that in the first 2 episodes, especially, it's just reaching for something rather than being itself. I think in 3, it starts to get somewhere. And in 4, it lands somewhere that begins to be fun and has a style of its own.
Yes, I think it has all those things you said. We'll see how it shakes out because this is a 9-episode series, y'all. They
must have had a lot to say. Yeah, they had a lot to say here. I also want to say that Deborah Jo Rupp comes back as Mrs. Hart, a.k.a. Sharon, because, she was forced to be someone in Wanda's vision. Mm-hmm. And now she is herself.
Even though Agatha still calls her Mrs. Hart.
Because Agatha is a rude heifer. Matter of fact, because they cannot figure out what the boy's name is, they call him Teen. The character's name is Teen, y'all.
Even in the credits.
Even in the credits. Capital T. And that rhymes with P and that stands for pool. Sorry, we were talking musicals. I think that the cast here is so well assembled. They work beautifully together. They work, like I said, as the characters from The Wizard of Oz. I think I wrote down how they break down as the characters from Oz. Would you like to hear it?
Okay.
So Agatha literally calls Teen pet, her pet is at one point, and calls him Toto at another point. So that's clearly who he is. Then you've got Sashir as your kind of lion. She's like the lion. She's your potion witch. She's looking for her courage. You've got Patti LuPone as Lilia, who I would liken to the scarecrow because she's a little scatterbrained. We've got Alice, who is played by Ali An, who I think is the Tin Man looking to find that heart. And we can't really say with Mrs. Hart, but you will see it soon. And so I found all of those parallels to be really interesting in framing their characterizations, which I got to give them, a head nod for that one.
Yeah, I think all that does work well. I do think this show will do well, hopefully, if people can fight off the evil trolls. Because I bet they're out there, trying to review bomb things.
Won't let women live.
Yeah, I almost think like for me, I think I just want other female characters to get stuff. Like people didn't care for Echo, I did. You know what I'm saying? Like I think for me, Agatha was like a one-trick pony for me, and I was like, yo, y'all got thousands of women characters. Like, can y'all give me Moonstone or something? Like, I can, a whole bunch of characters I can get on here. Like,
I'm going to go ahead and request a reboot of She-Hulk because whatever that was, it was not She-Hulk unless you count it as a spoof.
You know what'll happen, right? Is that Liv Tyler will get to be Red She-Hulk, and then the Red She-Hulk show will be what you wanted from the She-Hulk show.
You think?
Even though that'll be wrong for the Red She-Hulk, but at least you'll get one good She-Hulk show.
I'm still because She-Hulk is one of mine. And it really bothered me how that went down.
They ain't do her right at all.
Not at all. One thing, Julian, that you and I, as degree holders in the worlds of the arts, both of us, is that everything in this show is done practically. Everything is in the camera, not done in post. I mean, they might do some touch-ups in post, but everything you see is real. They built these sets, and there is something that that's what gives it that nostalgic feel, because it's real, but it also gives you I don't know, it's like weird for me to say, but it gives you this kind of storybook kind of world, and the lighting, the textures, it's just something that they still aren't able to achieve with CG. And I appreciated that they did that, because it does give this show a unique style and feeling of its own.
Yeah, the production design is great. Hair and makeup, great. Costuming, great.
Yeah.
The effects that are used for certain things look good. Like it's a lot of people have a lot of criticisms for the Marvel stuff, but overall, the Marvel stuff the MCU stuff looks great. You can nitpick some of the CG, and we know about those problems because of basically time crunching.
Yes.
But it doesn't look they have any. It seems like they had more than enough time to do this as they were trying to develop this one for a while. Because the 3 years that exist in the real world actually exist in the show as well. It's like, it's been 3 years. Like, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're very much keeping the world cohesive. I want to throw back to the Penguin, which I don't know if we said it or not, but I want to make sure that we do, is that they are building a kind of Elseworlds with the Matt Reeves, the Batman swinging into the Lauren LaFranc Penguin. That's all very cohesive as a world. And I think that...
Well, it technically is an Elseworld.
Yeah, it's an Elseworld.
By the classification of how the DC studio system works.
And I'm good with that. I like that it's an Elseworlds. I like that they can build things. I like that they can change things. Very similar to how Cape Crusader changed things up and not have to worry about the main storyline. So we can get different versions of these characters, two different Penguins, both completely bodied by Minnie Driver and Colin Farrell. I like that.
Yes. Yeah, well, maybe in a couple, maybe in like a month or so, maybe we'll feel a little bit different about Agatha.
Yeah.
9 episodes. It ends the weekend of Halloween weekend.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get another set of episodes just so we can do better content, because it's really hard to do good content for us, especially with the way that we do things when we're getting it so close to when it drops that, unless we're doing I think some of the content creators who do the deep dives and they point out all the things that you may have missed, that kind of content works great after the show has dropped. But our format doesn't work as well. We really are getting you prepared, getting you into it and telling you what to expect. And then at the end of a season, talking about all the spoilers. So hopefully we'll get another set so that we can give you guys more, because we appreciate that you've been here with us, that your numbers are growing. We so appreciate that. We started at about 300. 300 people were listening. And now we're doing pretty good. We're in the hundreds of thousands. So thank you guys. And Agatha, all along, the next episode, I think they're doing, now we're getting the one-offs, right, Julian? So the next episode will be September 25th. And then the 4th episode is October 2nd. So watch it. Julian, this is the end of our show. We've got about 30 seconds, a little bit more. You want to say anything else? Anything you want to do to close it out?
Watch that Penguin.
Watch it. Penguin is peak.